Joining us on episode 21 as we discuss the importance of setting a foundation for a healthy and happy life and the power of believing that we can all do hard things if we allow ourselves to. And it all begins with taking small steps. With me today is Dani Duncan. Dani is a qualified and featured fitness and nutrition coach, mum of 3, including twins, author of 2 recipe books, Yummy and Nourishing Little Lives, speaker and entrepreneur. Dani has been recognised with awards in the nutrition and fitness space as well as a business owner and has coached over 500 women. She's also extremely passionate about ensuring that the next generation is healthy and happy from day dot. Well, that's enough from me, guys. Let's jump straight in. Welcome to the Honesty Policy Hour. I'm your host, Stephanie Marie, and it's time to put everything on the table on this beautiful journey of healing all areas of our lives, one deep conversation at a time. Well, you are absolutely such a, just mum goals, I think, coming from me personally, just with you and just with everything that you've been doing. I've been following you for a little while, and yeah, it's just amazing. I just find it really inspirational how you're balancing just mum life, your fitness, and just everything. And you have 3 kids too, don't you?
Yes.
You do.
Yeah.
It's so inspirational, and yeah, my hats off to you. I have a little one, and managing both of them, fitness and a child, I'm just like, oh my God. And just seeing you run marathons, I'm like, that's with shame.
No. It's been a journey, that's for sure.
I can imagine. But tell me a little bit about yourself and who you are.
Yeah, so as you said, I have 3 little kitties. So I have 5-year-old Harper, who I can't believe is 5. Like, when did that happen?
Wow.
And 2-year-old twins, Harlow and Bo. They're crazy. So and then I'm married to my husband Chris, who's English. We had a lot of fun. He's a bit of a jokester. And yeah, I'm a fitness and nutrition coach. I mean, to be honest, I feel like I need to change that title because the more my business grows, the more holistic and mindset based it gets. You know, I always say that fitness nutrition is just the little bits that put everything together, but it's how you think and your mindset that actually creates the habits in the end of the day, right? So, that's so I've got my business, The Figure, and I love helping women change their lives. No quick fixes, no diets, no focusing on scales or anything like that. Focusing on doing all the things, creating habits for longevity, for happiness, because life is there to be lived, you know? So, yeah, that's what I love doing.
I love it. I couldn't agree more. Like, you know, I think in my 20s and my early sort of training days, it was always just diet, exercise. Just make sure those 2 are good. And if those 2 are good, my life's perfect. And then come your 30s, I'm just like, what was I thinking?
Yeah.
Like, that's nothing. Like, if you've got those 2 going, like, I think it's great for just day-to-day life in regards to because I feel like when you're food and you're training, you just got so much energy for the day. You're prepared in regards to food, so you don't need to think about that. But then you've got everything else that's kind of just floating above your head going, what about me?
Exactly. It's the mindset around nutrition and fitness, right? Like, that's, you know, like you said, in my 20s as well, it's like, let's train as much as I can, because I suppose the goal was to be skinny, right? Like, 90s kids, like, we were just stuffed up from the start. But you know, I trained so much, and it was almost about how much, like, it wasn't about nourishing my body. It was about, dieting, and that was life, right? When, in your 30s, it's like, hang on. But like you said, if you've got those 2 things already instilled, okay, well, I know it does make me feel good to a point. I know I have to look after my nutrition, but actually let's come at from a different angle.
Yeah. Changing it, the perspective a little bit. And like you said, it's just those 2 things there, they're helpful. But I feel like in the 20s as well, I think it's also depending on who you are too. Like, it was always motivation. You need to be motivated. It's like, where do you get all this motivation from? And I used to get offended by it. I'm just like, it's not something that I have and you don't. Therefore, that's why I'm training and you're not.
Totally.
And then it just came up. Yeah. And then afterwards it was like, it's not got nothing to do with about motivation. It is 100% about discipline and having that urge to do it every day. But again, it goes back down to what your goals are, and if it's about, you know, living a really beautiful holistic life path and being stress free and being able to teach all your children some really beautiful things, and just facts of life and the simplicity of what life can actually be rather than complicating it. Yeah, it can be a beautiful thing.
Totally, yeah. I have to say, you know, I talk a lot about the pillars being nutrition and movement. You know, fitness, movement, I interchange those words a lot because depending on what stage of life you're at, it might be more movement, like, you know, incidental movement rather than intentional movement, depending what that looks like for you and where you are in your journey as well. You know, for me, this is like a 10-year journey, right? To get from, like, I'm 38, at the back end of my 20s, like when I was 27, 28, yeah, I was, or maybe a bit earlier than that, 25, 24, 25, I was, yeah, like training too much and eating too little, right? It wasn't until
Yeah.
I reached that closer to 30 that I started actually educating myself and realizing, okay, food is fuel and food can actually help me or hinder me depending on what that looks like. And movement too, you know, am I having you know, a bad relationship with exercise, or am I doing it because it makes me feel good and because I want to be strong and those long-term goals? And I use those two things, like you said, as the pillars. You know, if you can have good nutrition, mindful eating, you know, focus on whole foods, good nourishing foods. You know, I'm speaking a lot about the blue zones because obviously that documentary came out on Netflix about the
Oh,
blue zones. You know,
amazing.
I know, and it's just like all so wholesome. You know, like if only
Mm.
we could create environments in urban, like, cities like those blue zones where there's no prepackaged food. It's all beautiful whole foods. There's that, you know, that community feel. There's that, you know, that holistic. I love that, you know. And so if you've got that pillar, that nutrition pillar, and then you've got the movement pillar where you move your body intentionally, incidentally, what that looks like. And when shit starts to go freaking haywire up here, right? Life happens, kids happen, you know, at least you've got those two things that keep you feeling good. Because I say, you know, when we're stressed, when we're feeling crap already, our hormones, like our happy hormones, are low, right? Our serotonin levels are low, our cortisol levels are high. And if you give up the two things that make you feel good, good nutrition, fueling your brain, making you have energy, movement, yes, spiking those endorphins, making you feel good. If you let those go, you're literally downward spiraling. You know, you're downward spiraling. So if you can keep those two pillars really strong, and this is a mindset thing, right? If you can keep those two pillars strong and a discipline thing, then
Mm-hmm.
when the shitstorm's happening and the kids are crazy and work's busy and you're late for the freaking drop off or whatever, you know you're still feeling better than you would have felt otherwise because you've looked after yourself first, you
Yeah.
know?
I couldn't agree more. I couldn't
Yeah.
agree more because we tend to do that when things just, we, like you said, we get our shit storms every
Yeah,
now and then, and when they happen, it's easy to drop the stuff that we love the most because it's like, oh, I feel that we associate that with pleasure, therefore we don't deserve
totally.
it. It can be a bit of a
Yeah,
subconscious thing. So
yeah,
it's really nice, you know, it's being able to integrate these things when life is good. So when life is hard, we've got that pattern going, and then we can kind of keep going. But
totally.
it is an art form, and it's not easy, and it takes a very long time to do. But you know,
Totally.
the fact that you're guiding women to do that is, it's such a beautiful thing. And we need guidance. Women, we always need guidance. We need support. We need that tribe. We need that being able to feel like we're supported when we have, you know, when we're in charge of everything. You know, women are the gatekeepers, aren't we? We're,
You
we
know what?
do.
No matter what, you know, like, you know, I think it is slowly changing. You know, I know my husband's, you know, the most hands-on, you know, but at the end of the day, there's still an element of, you know, mum life, right? Like that's just what it like. And I saw, you know, I think it was on Fitzy and Whipper or something, or they had someone come in and just say the monologue that goes through a mum's head versus a
Oh
dad's
my
head.
God. I was actually just talking about this on my previous episode. And she was crying because it's so true. And she's like, what happened when I was with the kids, and then I go back to being with my 21st birthday.
Totally. And like I don't know about you, but like I'll be changing a nappy and I'll be thinking about, like, have we got enough nappies? Have we got enough wipes? And oh my God, did I yell at Harper earlier? Have I stuffed her up for when she's older? Is she gonna be 21 and then resent me because I yelled at her when she was like 5? Like,
She's gonna be the reason she goes to therapy in her 30s. Oh my God, I ruined her life.
literally.
It's
Oh, sorry.
that dialogue is
Yeah.
so full on.
Yeah.
And but that's the thing. I think the conscious, being conscious of that dialogue, like we have no idea. Sometimes we're like, do I do that? And you pay attention, you're like, I do that.
Yeah. And then I sit there and I think, when like Chris is there just watching a TV show, is he just focusing on the TV show? Because I'm not just
Because I'm
not. Like, and then you
not.
remember that part in the episode? I'm like, no, because the 5 million tabs that were like, I know.
But that's the thing. I asked my husband a really random question during the movie. He goes, "Are you even watching the movie?" I was like, "My eyes are, but my mind's not."
Yeah, totally. And also, like, I just am so conscious that I want to do the best for the kids, and like, I think that's where it comes down to, like, I think I do put a lot of pressure on myself in that respect, because I think I do. I always believe we do have a responsibility to our children to model the way, but also show that I'm going to stuff up. That's okay. Not always going to be perfect. Perfection doesn't exist. But also, I want to know that I've done the best I can, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah, that's where that comes in. But then I sit there and go, well, I need to show her that, or that all three of them, the twins, are, the age where
How old are they? Did you say sorry?
they're two.
They're two. That's so. Oh my god, you got two twos. Oh
Two.
wow.
God. I'm actually two twins is actually okay. I'm actually worried when they turn three. Three with Harper was really hard. So
Really? Is that when it
yes.
gets hard? Oh yeah, my son will be 2 in Jan, so it's
Oh,
it's
it's
ramping up, and I'm pregnant too, so fun times.
times. We never had the terrible twos with Harper. Everyone talked about it, but she turned 3 2 weeks after the twins arrived. So I don't know if it was 3 or if it was a combination of 3 and the twins arriving. But
Twins, yeah, it could have been a bit of both, a bit of a
totally. But
mixture.
yeah,
Oh,
no, but I want to show her as well. I think what I seem to punch off a lot is, women always just seem to want those quick fixes now and want to feel good now and not realize it
yeah.
is a journey, but it's a consistent journey. And
Mm-hmm.
that's where that discipline comes in. Like, I say to people, like, don't compare yourself. Don't say you want to be like me now, because my journey started, like 10, 12 years ago, right? And I am still learning and still growing. And also, I still stuff up, all the time.
Yeah.
But it's that discipline. And that's the thing when people go, I want to be motivated, or I'm waiting for motivation. And it's like, you're going to be waiting forever, right? You're going to be waiting forever. But discipline makes you feel good. And after, like, my marathon, for example, on Sunday, the only way to replicate that freaking high is to do something that's hard and to do something that takes discipline,
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's once you get there to that cliff, it's the most beautiful feeling in the world.
Yes.
But getting there is it's a journey in itself. It's
Yeah.
ugly, it's messy, it's awful, it's hard. There's tears, there's so much of that. But
Yeah.
that's why it's so worth it. It's
Yeah.
so worth it, and it's always the journey, because
Always.
you can't have the good without the shit sometime, or most of the time anyway.
Also,
And
like,
that's why
your
the
health,
good feels so good.
and you know what, your health isn't like, there's no end point to your health, right? Until the day
No.
you die, which is hopefully in 67 years time for us. But this is why I really want to encourage women to not look for the quick fix and start
Mm,
just by taking small bites. Like, that's how you create discipline. Like, can you make
yeah.
one better choice with your food today? Can you move a little bit more today? And then just do that again, and then just do that again. Because people go on these quick fixes and they're like, yes, in 8 weeks I lost X amount of kilos. I'm like, yeah, cool, but in 8 months' time you were back where you started. Or you could just do my approach, and yeah, in 8 weeks you might have
Yeah.
not lost anything. You might have lost 500 grams, but you'll feel better, and
Mhm.
you'll cope better, and you'll sleep better, and you'll find you're not as snappy, and you'll actually be educated and feel like it's not overwhelming. And in 8 months' time you might be further ahead than you were, if you didn't.
100%. It's so true. It's chipping away and getting the foundation set. Once the foundation's set, then you can do that. Because when you start feeling amazing and you're doing everything that you love doing all the time, the
Yeah,
physical has to mirror that eventually.
totally.
So, and it will. It will always will. I think, like we said, it's always like 6 to 8 weeks we're waiting for perfection. But then
Yes.
I heard this thing, because I used to do bodybuilding comps in my past life. And we used to always say, like, 8 weeks is when you start seeing results, and 10 weeks is when your close family, and then 12 is when everybody, the rest of the world, start noticing. So it's definitely a slow process. However, like, I feel that the physical, like I said, it shouldn't be the end results. Like, yes, it's amazing when we're comfortable and we feel good in that little black dress. However, how we interact with our partners on a day-to-day level, how our kids see us interact on a day-to-day level, how do our kids see us all the time? Are we just constantly scrolling for dopamine hits, or are we like spending time with them and giving them eye contact and really being there for them? Like, these are the things that matter. Like, what you look like in that photo on someone's 30th or 40th, it doesn't, it's not the be all and end all, because our kids are going to remember, oh, remember when mum used to do this or when mum used to do that.
Yeah.
So my hat's off to that.
There's a question I ask with my private clients, actually, and I should start extending it to my group coaching clients. But on my private clients, I ask them, I always ask them, what's their confidence, what's their happiness, and all these things, different things. How's your energy level out of 10 when we start? And with the confidence, say, how confident are you in your body image? And sometimes people, say they say 3 or whatever. And I say, cool, was there a time in your life when you were confident? And most of them say, oh, yes. And I go, cool, talk to me about that. Oh, at my wedding, at my 30th, at whatever. And I'm like, cool, talk to me about what your life was like at that time. They're like, oh, yeah, I dieted for 10 weeks. I was at the gym every day, because they were striving for a body for that event. And I'm like, and then you can see them talking, going, yeah, I was confident in my appearance, but I wasn't happy.
Yeah.
And it's like, you can have both, don't get me wrong, but like, it is not worth unhappiness just to look a certain way,
No way. It is definitely not. But this comes with maturity and wisdom and doing this for a little while. It's not something that is just like, hey, but holding the mirror up for some people, because like you said, it's really hard for people to notice these things. This is, our job as coaches and people that guide people to live a healthy and happy life. However, it's really interesting seeing it always goes down to an event. It always goes down to because they strived for it. How interesting.
And I sit there and they go, oh shit, yeah, okay. And I go, awesome. This time when I ask you that question again, you're gonna be like, I was confident here because I felt good and I was happy and I was with my kids and I was laughing and I was able to run around the playground with them. They're the memories, rather than I looked good in that dress at that wedding. Like looking at photos and going, oh my God, I remember that time. Like, okay, yes, so I'm 2 kilos heavier than I wanted to be, big whoop, but I was happy and I was smiling and I was loved and I felt loved, like those things. Yeah.
Yeah, they're the things that matter. But tell me a little bit about your programs and how you guide women. Is it fitness and mindset? Are these the things that you do at the moment?
Yeah. So there's quite a few different ways you can work with me. Group coaching, private coaching, self-paced, self-guided. If you're not, if you haven't got that time to actually, commit to, I understand everyone's time strains are different. But as I said, I call myself a fitness and nutrition coach. It is obviously those sorts of things are easy to coach, right? Like, here's some information. Here's what is in food. Here's, that's the easy part, right? Like, this is what you need to do fitness wise, throw it out. But yeah, it's all the mindset stuff. How are you looking at food? What is it doing for your body? What's the conversations you're having with yourself? Are you incorporating movement into your life that you enjoy? Because it's really important as well. So in our coaching, we talk, as I said, educate you all around food, because I think that's really important. I think there's not enough education actually around what's in food, where do the calories come from, what foods do different things for our bodies, why cutting out food groups is not a good idea, why having an abundance of food is good for each. Like, I talk about our brain, our kidneys, our nervous system, our, all those sorts of things. Like, what does food do for us? Water intake, our gut health. We have a section on gut health as well. And then talk about movement and why it's important, not just for now, but for our future as well. People throw around the word healthy like it's just, but health is actually a state, being in a good state of health. And that means thriving, being free from disease, and not just now, but in later life. And what you do now is going to directly impact what your state of health is like in the future. And it's so easy to, as I said today, most people don't see past the end of their nose, right? They see today and they see now, and I'm going to make this quick decision now because it's easy for now. But what if you could actually make a more mindful choice that would help you create a habit so that in 30 years' time, you're not having to spend hours at doctors taking all these tablets, potentially at risk of chronic disease. What if you could be thriving them from the decisions you made today? We talk a lot about bone health as well. in my coaching because most of my clients are between 25 and 45, but I coach a lot of menopausal women as well who come to me and they're like, is it too late? And I'm like, no, but I'm so glad you're here.
That's amazing.
Because I mean, if you have a look at the stats, if you have a fall over the age of 65, right, and you break your hip, 25% of those people will be dead within a year. It's morbid.
That just gave me chills just thinking about it, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's
And
crazy. It is crazy.
old. 65 is not old. And,
No way.
like, do you know that if you actually start strength training and looking after your bone health now, then you literally can take away that risk completely, but it's not until people get to that point. I get like ladies coming to me. I had a lady come to me last year. She's late 40s. She's like, Danni, I'm pre-diabetic. She's like, I always knew that I was a bit overweight, but it never really bothered me, which is awesome, perfect confidence-wise. But people forget that, carrying that extra weight, for example, is going to have detrimental things to your organ health, risk of diabetes, joint health as well. And she said, I never thought this would be me. So I worked with her and she messaged me literally 2 weeks ago. She's down 25 kilos and she's got nope, not pre-diabetic anymore.
Oh, go girl. You go,
No
girl.
tablets. She's like, I'm confident. I'm happy. She's like, I'm not on tablets. I've literally changed. She's changed her future,
Yeah, she's altered the.
And that's the thing. And that's why I love doing this. So yeah, we talk about all nutrition. We talk about longevity. We talk about how movement helps you, we talk a lot about happy hormones and how to stimulate that to make sure we're feeling our best. And then I have experts come in and help because obviously I don't know everything either. So we have a women's health physio come and talk about all about women's health, because also a subject that we don't talk enough about, prolapse, incontinence, ab separation, menopause. We have a goal session with Helena from the Goal Changer. And we have another life coach, Emily, who comes and talks to us, who's just so inspirational as well.
That's beautiful. And you run like seminars? Is this what, like, for women that are all within the same state, or do you do them online?
So most of it all is online. So my group coaching is online. It's 10 weeks long. Private coaching is online. It's 12 weeks long. I've got my app launching in 4 weeks' time.
That's exciting.
It's a whole holistic app. So you've got your workouts and your meals there, of course, but you've got lots of mindset tools on there. You've got mantras every day, gratitudes every day.
Love it.
Yeah. So all that sort of thing that's launching in 4 weeks. But then I do my retreats. So they're my in-person events. My retreats I do twice a year. And that's when we get beautiful women together, and it's all,
I saw you just recently had one. Was it like a couple weeks ago?
Yes.
And where was that?
That was in Hunter Valley at the beautiful Glen Eden. I had 25 women. Yeah. It was
and how was it? Was it a gorgeous event?
Amazing. Yeah, it's such a privilege to be able to host women to step away from their busy lives, their husbands, their kids, their work, we have mums and non-mums on there, and just spoil them, spoil them. We move every morning because I want to show the women that what you can do by oxygenating your brain first thing in the morning, what is it? Seize the morning, seize the day. And then we eat delicious, nourishing food. We have some sessions around mindset, nutrition. We do a women's circle. We have massages. We do yoga.
Oh, love it.
Yeah, it's just a beautiful weekend.
I think the biggest thing with, especially being a mum, one thing I never knew of how, not only how lonely it can be, but it's just it can be so repetitive and so mundane sometimes, where you're just doing the same thing and just, breaking it up sometimes with, and the fact that you're doing something like this for women, it's so incredibly special, and their cups would have been just filled to the brim, and they would just come back home and just be the best version of themselves that their husbands and their families would probably just absolutely adore.
Awesome. And at the end, we always talk about throughout the retreat, and we also talk about at the end, and I've done a masterclass on this as well. Head to my website and you can have all my masterclasses are there, but real self-care. People talk about self-care. Going to my nails done, I'm going for a massage, I'm getting my hair. That's not self-care, Real self-care. What are you going to do every day to make yourself a better version of you, for you, but for everyone else around you as well?
And I feel that self-care is the physical stuff, like the massages and the nails and the stuff, but self-love is the stuff that you really just nourishes your soul, the stuff that you could do for for your version of tomorrow, not just for the right now. I feel good just there.
But I get them to walk away with a commitment of what they're going to do, every day to fill their cups, because like you said, it can get lonely, but what are you doing for you every day? What are you doing for you every day? Because I have a little saying. It's like, just because you become a mum doesn't mean you stop being a woman, you know?
Oh,
And sometimes,
that got me, that one. I love it. Oh, it's so true. It's
yeah,
so true. We still have all the things that, you know, we still want to achieve in a day to day, in a week to week, month to month, year, whatever it is. There's so much. We have so
totally.
much desire to just be amazing and
Yeah,
to be a role model for our children. It's so important. Like,
so
we
important.
can't forget who we are. And I
No,
always see that, like, once I spent time for myself, I come back way better mum than what I did beforehand. It's just like, it's so important
yeah,
just doing something for yourself, filling your cup up, and just,
yeah.
like I say this all the time, you can't pour from an empty cup.
No,
It's you can, but you're not getting quality.
no, absolutely not. And
No.
then you say you want to be the best mum you can be. Well, being the best mum is actually going to mean you're going to have to prioritize you. You're going to have to actually do things for you. And Mel Robbins actually talks about guilt as guilt being just something that you feel because you care. Like lots of mums said, I feel guilty for working out. I feel guilty for stepping away from the kids. But actually, that's because you care, because you like to be there, because they're your child, right? But you will be a better parent if you actually do that first, and it's okay.
I think the guilt is, yeah, it does show you care. If you didn't feel guilty, just be like, what did I feel?
Yeah, if you feel guilty, you just be like, oh, it's good. Okay. Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah,
don't feel guilty sometimes when I step away. I'm like, because you know what? I know I'm going to come back better. I know I'm going to come back.
totally. But
My
that's
son's going to
something,
get a better version of me.
it's
Say
something
that
you've
again, sorry?
probably something you've worked on, because now
Yeah.
you've evidence is clear, like you've done it, you've seen, yeah, I am better if I do this, so the guilt goes away. But for those women starting out that journey, it can be guilt to start with. You're like, oh, I should be there, but then you actually realize, oh, I'm actually less snappy, I have more patience, I can be more present when I filled my cup first.
Yeah.
you
But
know
it's also a natural thing. It's such a primitive thing that is instilled in us. Like, we're not supposed to love being disconnected from our children, because that shows that they're potentially unsafe. So
Totally.
we're just wired that way. These are the things that we just have to, I think, knowledge is power when it comes to this stuff. When we understand the way we work and the way we function and
Yeah,
our, internal bits and pieces, we can sort of, navigate through it
yeah,
a little bit easier and be like, all right, this is there because of this, not because I feel like a shit mum or whatever it is.
yeah. I mean, I went on a girls' weekend a couple of weeks ago. It was one night away, and I think by breakfast we were all starting talking about our kids already. I was like, just want to give them a cuddle. Don't want to stay there. Just want to give them a cuddle and we can come back. you know,
Just a quick hey. I know. And then you FaceTime your husband and you're just like, there's like chaos, and you're like, you know what? Don't miss that.
so good, so good. Totally.
I love it. I love it. Oh, that's awesome. Nah, it's such a beautiful thing. I think retreats, I'm actually going on one next weekend. It's more of an intuitive spiritual weekend away. But I am so excited to spend 2 days away, and I think I'm more excited about that.
So,
I haven't done it yet. I
wow,
haven't done it yet. So,
really? I
well,
love it.
I've done like a night here and there, but not two.
One of the girls on the retreat last weekend, it was the first time she was away from her son for 2 nights. And at the end, as we were closing, she got quite emotional, and we were talking about what's one thing you've learned about yourself over the weekend. And she said that it's okay to be away from him, that it's okay to look after me. And she goes, because up until that point, she was like, I'm not sure it's okay. But knowing that he was fine with his dad, he was thriving, and also she got to fill her cup. So it was fine in both, areas. And it was really nice.
Oh, that's gorgeous. But
Yeah.
also, like, it gives them a time to create a different relationship as well. I feel that that's so important. Like,
Mm.
my son went through a phase where he was just like, didn't want anyone but me.
Yeah.
I feel like that's boys as well,
Yes.
though. um, and yeah, he was just like, he didn't, he just preferred to be with me, and he always wanted to be with me, which was hard on me as well, but also
Totally.
hard on my husband, because he, when he'd come home from work, it was just like, it
Totally.
wasn't the greeting that, you would want as a parent. But
Yeah.
now it's starting to really, really change. And I just see the way they just come together, and it makes me so freaking happy. I just melt when I see them together.
Yeah.
It's so special.
Yeah.
And, stepping away for those 2 days that I'm going to do in a couple of weeks, it's going to allow that to flourish even more.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
it's another reason for me, to feel less guilty, and to be able to understand that they need this as well. It's giving them the opportunity. It's
Oh, and I think
beautiful.
sometimes, that's a really good point. I think a lot of times as well when we go, oh, I can't leave because he's not good with his dad. It's like, well, maybe it's because he hasn't had the opportunity to actually be with his dad. And you might find if you stepped away and let that flourish, it might be okay.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
I think it's important because I do feel for dads sometimes when they're like, well, I can't do anything or whatever that is. If the twins definitely went through a stage when it was just me. And even now, they're much better behaved. When I say behaved, kids don't have to behave, but they're much happier when I'm not here.
yeah.
When I'm here, they just, they feel safe around me. They let their emotions out around me. So, last Friday, I have the kids every Friday, and all three of them was like a war zone. And Chris obviously had them while I was at the retreat, and he was like, they're not like this for me. They are so good for me. And I was like,
It's so interesting. I saw that kids are I think 60% more misbehaved than what they
yeah,
are with their mother than anybody else. But
yeah,
purely because of what you just said, they feel more safer to express their true inner emotions. But
yeah.
when you're around someone that you feel so safe with, it comes out a little bit. Like I feel like I'm a little bit of a brat when I'm around my mum still now.
Totally.
Mom, what am I gonna cook
Yes.
for dinner? Help me.
Yeah, and I think that's and without giving Chris that opportunity, if I hadn't gone away, then and they always just want me, he would probably then feel disconnected. So it's actually good
Yeah.
for us to step away.
Yeah, you need to allow that opportunity. Let it flourish
Yeah.
and let them be able to work things out, things that they've probably never had to do before, never had to
Yeah.
figure out. And it's nice for
Totally.
them to be like, oh, maybe this isn't as easy as what I
No, exactly.
thought.
And I think it's a little bit of letting go as well. Like I know a couple of the girls at the retreat were like, "Oh my god, they've like let the kids stay up half an hour later, or they've got this for dinner," and it's like, it's fine.
It's
Nothing's
fine.
going to happen.
It's fine. Yeah,
Yeah,
I know. Control is an illusion. It doesn't exist. It's all good.
totally.
All the things, all the mantras, I just dig them all out of the back of your head. Get
Yeah,
through the moment. Oh, I love it. That's awesome. Yeah, no, it's a beautiful thing to have to host these events for women. I think it's
yeah,
so crucial to be able to prompt them further, to be able to get them to step away, kids
yeah,
or not. It doesn't really matter. Having that time for yourself and around women that want to thrive and achieve greatness, and it's like-minded women being in one space in a
yeah,
beautiful area is
yeah.
this is
Totally.
magic.
Absolutely.
Magic.
I love that about retreats, but I actually said it's funny that you said that like-minded women. I had a little story this morning on my page because I'm having this weird, like mum life, just brain thinking all the time. And I thought this morning I had this thought about how I love helping women and I want to be able to reach as many women as possible and help them feel amazing. Like I just envision this world where women are nice to themselves and look after themselves. It's like a fantasy. It's like, but I was thinking the funny thing is that you follow people, say on an Instagram page or whatever, because whatever they say is resonating with you, or you feel like you need that in some way, but you're at that readiness to change, and you're at that moment already where you're like, okay, I'm going to dip my toe in. What she's saying is resonating. I'm going to right. But I wonder, there are women out there that aren't at that readiness to change, right? That are still in that zone, I call it a victim mode, where they're just not ready to open up to the possibility that maybe they could feel better. And they're the women that I'd love to get my hands on. But those women would
Sit
probably hate,
down and listen. I do.
yeah, but those women would probably hate me right now, right? Because their readiness to
Mm-hmm.
change is not there.
Mm-hmm.
And
No.
all that happens is defensiveness comes in, right? You get defensive because you're like, excuses, because you're not there. But I'd love that. I'd love to get my hands on those women because I think those women, there's an abundance of those women that are stuck in the depths of it. Maybe it's motherhood, maybe it's not motherhood, maybe it's work. I've got some clients at the moment who travel like an hour and a half for work each day. They don't have kids, but the amount they travel for work, by the time they get home, time is also hard for them.
Oh, yeah.
And I think, gosh, how do I reach a mass of women? But then just drip feed some things. What if you just did this? What if you just did this? Because
But it is, you said
yeah,
it perfectly. They're in the victim mode. They're in this mode where they can't see, like, everything else is so much chaos and I'm literally just surviving. And
yeah,
we've all been there. We've all been there.
yeah,
But you know, having somebody there to be like, come out of it, watch the world just keep spinning, and you can actually see it because it's going to spin if you're in it or not. And it's really interesting having that power to actually reclaim again and see other women in your space as well. It's that it doesn't have to be so hard. And when you kind of change a few mindsets, like even some pieces of advice that I've heard through motherhood, it was like it just changed my perspective completely. It's like a few words and I was like, what? Just
Yes.
mic drop moments. And it completely altered my perception of reality pretty much.
Yeah.
And they like that. This is why speaking out and having conversations is like, even when I speak to some of my girlfriends and I'm just like, it's not about what they're saying, it's just about me getting it out, and then I start saying things, I'm like, oh, I didn't realize that existed in there. But
Yeah.
having the opportunity, because as we talk we think, and
Totally.
it actually just starts coming out. And you know, sometimes, you know, we can be so recluse where we're just in our own space and
Yeah.
we don't have that opportunity to really voice because we think that no one really cares.
Yeah. Totally.
And it's you know, having a community that like you've created, it allows that conversation to actually happen, and to start giving these little mantras and these little pieces of advice that can alter their reality and get them to start moving again, or to do
Yeah.
something and have that conversation with their partner or their friend, or you know, look for another job that's closer, or whatever it is to change. Because you know, change is so important, and it's that
Yeah.
comfortability, I think, that is a big one too. You know,
Totally.
getting people out of that comfort zone, because we get like, again, it's that we just
Yeah.
get stuck. We just get stuck of moving the left and the right foot forward, that we forget that
Totally.
we can
Yeah.
move back inside if we want to. It doesn't have to be keep going.
And you know, it's like you said, it's really comfy there. And I think when people think change, they think hard and they think, well, it's going to interrupt too much. Or the other thing I see happens is they go, oh, here's my life, here's my little comfy space. Oh, it doesn't, whatever you're telling me, Danny, doesn't fit into that comfy space. There's no room left. And I'm like, yeah, because you know what? You're actually going to have to change potentially
Mm-hmm.
the structure of your life. The day to day, it's not about just going,
Mm-hmm.
here's my crazy life, where does it slot in? You might actually
No.
have to go, all right, overhaul what has to actually fully change to be able to change. Because
Mm-hmm.
if you are not open to change, then it is going to be, if you try and do something, like if I said to you, say your life, you feel like your life is so busy, and I said, cool, now you have to go for a 30-minute walk in there. You'd be like, are you serious? Like, fuck, I can't even fucking wipe my bum, let alone put in. Because you can't just put it in. You actually have to go, all right, let's have a look at this. You know, what
Mm-hmm.
has to give? Where am I? You know, maybe that has to, maybe I have to get up early. And then, to be honest, I don't sit there and say, if you join my coaching, like I am a 5 a.m. riser. I have been for about 10 years now, maybe a bit longer. I don't say you have to get up early, but it's amazing how many women on my course realize during the course, I'm going to
It's the
have to
only
get
way
up.
to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the only way to do it. It
Yeah.
really is sometimes. Like, I was a 5 a.m. riser before my child, my
Yeah.
child, and now I'm just like got into that habit of just waking up whenever he wakes up,
Yeah. Yeah.
and now it's just kind of kept that way.
Oh,
Um, but it's, yeah, having young children, definitely, I feel that not life is on pause, but things are kind of a little bit different for a little while, and things kind of
yeah.
not as
Yeah.
intense, where when you've got more that, when you're not giving constantly all the time, and you've
Yeah.
got that space where, you know, they go to daycare or kinder or school or whatever it is, and you've actually got a little bit of space, you can actually
Yeah.
see. But then again, that's that mentality of waiting for things to get better. Like,
Waiting for things to
it's
get better. And that's, you know, you see that so often. I'll start exercising when. I will start eating better when. I will do this when. And it's like when life comes down, when the kids are older, like, I hate to be morbid, but like you could die tomorrow,
yeah,
you know, or you just, do you want to be unhappy for that period of time? Like
yeah,
over
no,
that time, whilst you're waiting for that to happen, what else is happening, you know? Like
so
life
much.
can't wait so much. So much of life is waiting to happen. Like it, and also, like, let's be honest, life's not going to calm down. I can tell you right now.
It's
Life's not going to
not.
calm down. No.
No.
The more we do this, and it's maybe it's just this day and age as well, that we're so much busier. We've got so much more to do. You know, we are constantly stimulated, left, right, and center. by phones and TVs and WhatsApp. I know you have your son's not 2 yet, but like once he starts going to kinder, man, you get like WhatsApp groups and you get 5 million messages a day from them, and then like
And photos and everything.
photos, and it's like, oh my god, I can't keep up. And my kid's not even in school. I've heard school is even worse. But
Oh,
you know,
goodness.
it's not going to calm down. And if you wait for it to calm down, you'll be waiting forever. And then, like like I said before, just because I've become a mum doesn't mean I'm not a woman anymore. And I still want to be energetic, and I still want to be fun, and I still want my husband to think I'm sexy, and I still want to be able to have sex and, go to dinner on a Saturday night and not fall asleep at 8 o'clock.
My God, that is the story of my life right now. Just getting up and just be like,
People go for dinner, and I'm like, 2 dinner at 8? You mean 6, right?
we have dinner at like 5:30 these days. It's so early. And by 8 o'clock, I'm like, I'm hungry.
We've got a 40th birthday to go to in a couple of weeks, right? And the dinner starts at 8. I'm like,
no, you got to eat beforehand.
Eating my arm off before then and tired.
We're planning to go away in a couple of weeks, Torquay for the weekend, for long weekend. Yeah. And my father-in-law put a little group, and he's just like, "Oh, we want to go see this movie at you guys can go. And we'll look after your son. You guys go to the movie. It starts at 8:15. It's a 3-hour movie." I'm like, "Who's gonna?" Look, I would love to do that, but my brain was not going to be able to go.
I don't go to the movies anymore because I can't watch the whole movie. I just literally can't do it.
Dark room is just like,
oh, totally. And then like that seats recline these days, right? Give me a blankie and I'm.
Nah, I would not be able to survive a long movie right now. No chance. Yeah. No chance. I need to be a bit more stimulants.
Yeah, I still want to be that person, and like, of course, it looks different to pre-kids, right? But I still want to be that person. I still want to, yeah, and I still want to laugh. I still want to, and I know that so many women out there that are literally on that daily grind. Like, it just feels like they're on this hamster wheel, and the only way to get off that hamster wheel is to change something.
Yeah, and I think a big reminder with that as well is you're going to keep those moments. Don't disappear once you've got it figured out. No. And figure, hey, you like that? I just chuck that in there. Once it's figured out. But it's very like, it always comes up, and life it's almost like, remember what to do, I'm here again. Remember what to do to fix this and to get out of this. And it's just like this little game that we have to play where things get hard again and again and again, and things get harder and again and again and again. And one thing that I've realized as well, like we're never given anything that we can't get through ever. And that's why I feel that when I look at the shit that I've gone through in my life, it's like progressively gotten worse.
Yes.
And, if the worst thing happened 10 years ago, I wouldn't be able to physically cope. But these little things are happening, and I'm slowly inclining. And, I'm dealing with it as per my wisdom, and being able to rise that, that hard escalator where it's given. And I'm, and this is why I feel that, labor is so hard. It's so hard because after that you've got postpartum. It's not, and then you've got that, and then you've got this, and then, there's just so much to do.
So much. I think and I say this as well because, this year for me has been a pretty shitty year. Like, and I'm going to rephrase that. It hasn't been a shitty year. It's been a fucking privilege to be here. There's been some things that have popped up through the year that have really tested and tried me. More so this year than any other year I've had. And every time something has popped up, like you said, I feel like I've got better coping mechanisms and better tools in my toolbox to move through that. It doesn't devalue or devalidate the situation. It doesn't make it any better. It just means that I am able to cope better, which means I'm able to recover better, because I don't want to be in that dark place for too long. Like, no one likes to be down there, right?
No.
Everything that has happened this year, I go, it's like, I feel like Wonder Woman, like, okay, here we go. Fighting off all this shit. Like, come at me. What's next? Because I am stronger than yesterday. Oh, that's a song, isn't it?
Is it? I don't know. Can be.
Yeah. And so I can handle it, and like you said, if I was to get thrown the things that happened this year 10 years ago, I did have some things happen 10 years ago, and I did fall in a heap. I remember lying in my bed with one of my best friends, with my antidepressants, with a bottle of wine, being like, life is fucked. And I'm not that person anymore, because I worked on myself and I didn't want to be that person. And so when shit goes down these days, people always go, God, Danny, like, how are you not like crawling in a ball? And I'm like, because life is beautiful and shit happens, but shit is always going to happen because that's life. And I'm still here and my kiddies are still here. And, like, there is so much to be grateful for. I don't know if you probably did see, like, I recently miscarried on a plane
darling, I'm so sorry.
from Manchester to Singapore, at 13 and a half weeks. After a previous miscarriage in February, after being told
honey.
I wasn't able to have any more children. So, miracle babies, I'm on this plane with my 3 children and Chris in pain. And then we ended up having to spend 5 nights in Singapore while I lost the baby by myself in a hospital. I woke up also on my birthday in Singapore, right? Miscarrying.
Oh, Danny.
Yeah, it was shit. It's shit that I lost the baby. It's shit that I was so far along. It's shit that I didn't know the gender. It's shit that I happened in a country that, it's shit that it happened after our beautiful 5-week holiday. It was shit. But the gratitude that took over my brain after that happened was immense. Like don't make me cry.
Sorry, you made me cry. Sorry.
I looked at my 3 little kids and I thought, fuck, how can you not be grateful? Like, how can you not, like, there are people dying. There are people dying. There are people with homeless. There are people without food. And I am sitting here with my husband and 3 beautiful kids, and I couldn't be happier, And I think that's the difference, right? She doesn't happen to you. It just happens.
It does. And, it happens. It happens for you. Like, it's as bad as that sounds when you're going through the really shitty situations.
Yeah.
Like, I think about the stuff that you receive afterwards, all
Yeah.
those tools that you've received afterwards, and you're like, you know what, that was hands down one of the worst times of my life. However, having that perception of life and being so grateful for everything that I have and
Totally.
focusing on those, it got me through. And
Absolutely.
being able to see some sort of positive. My husband says all the time, I want solutions, not problems. Focus on solutions, not problems.
Totally.
And that's actually written on our sweet window in lipstick, because I always look at it and I'm like, all right, solutions.
Amazing. I always say to my clients, if you need a solution, you need to come to me. I'm the solutions finder. If you have a problem, I will find you a solution.
Love it. I love that. We all need a solution finder in our lives. We all do.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's such an important thing. And, not only have you received these incredible tools afterwards, post trauma, you're also able to help so many people going through these situations as well. Like, we don't want any of this shit to happen, but it does, and it's going to happen. And I feel like, our mess is our message. It always is. We're able to really push that forward and be like, I got through it. I can do it. Just hold my hand. We can do it together.
And I think that's why, as well, that I resonate with so many women, and why my page has grown so much, because people go, oh shit, she's not just, it's very easy to judge a book by its cover, right? And go, oh, she lives in a nice house. I mean, like, I've worked for that, but like, she lives in a nice house. She's slim, she's muscly, she eats well because, genetics. It's easy to judge that, right? And go, look at her. But what if you just take a step back and actually listen to what I talk about on my page? Like, I've been through the shit, right? Like, there is shit, and like, shit doesn't discriminate either.
No way.
Like,
no way.
And by sharing that stuff, and I always believe everything happens for a reason. Sometimes at the moment in the time, it might not seem evident what that reason is.
No.
And sometimes you don't want to believe it either. Like, I know at the time of the miscarriage, someone did say to me, oh, everything happens for a reason. I was like, this is not the time to say that to me.
Yeah,
like,
no.
I'm more than happy to acknowledge that in a few weeks' time, but just right now,
yeah. Oh, I know. Sometimes, yeah, it's just like, wait, can we just stop that and just push that 2 weeks ahead?
Yeah, I'm happy to acknowledge that in a second, but right now I'm grieving fully, like,
Yeah, no.
But afterwards I did think, is there a group of people that I'm not being able to connect with because I don't understand, right? Because if you haven't experienced something, you don't understand. You can show empathy, but you can't sympathize because you don't know. And
No.
the amount of women that reached out to me after that late miscarriage and was like talking to me about their 15-week losses, 20-week losses, stillbirths, going, Danni, you like what you said, like resonated. And then I was able to fully sympathize with them, right? Because I got it. I understood. And when you feel understood and you feel heard, you know, it's a really nice feeling. And I sort of said,
Yeah.
maybe that's why. Maybe that now I get to connect with a whole nother level of women that I didn't before. Maybe this little baby has given me the tools to, yeah, help as like more women, So
Of course. And
yeah.
it's just being, I feel that, when we're not heard and when we're not understood, we feel so stagnant. But
Yeah.
when someone says, I hear you and I understand you, which is, I feel, is another most powerful way of saying I love you, it really elevates a person, and you're
Totally.
able to almost fly, because there's something about being heard and
Yeah.
understood. It drives you. It just
Yeah.
makes you just be like, you know what? I'm not the only one that has gone through this. I'm not
Totally.
the only one. And why am like most people, like a lot of people go through this.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
it's so interesting to hear that when you actually voice your shit,
Yeah.
people are actually, yeah, hey, I've been through that as well. And
That's
it's
also
so refreshing seeing
yeah.
shit being put on social media, and it's not all fucking sunshines and rainbows. And
Mhm.
it's, we go through hard times. It's important to see that, because otherwise we're comparing ourselves to all these perfectionists that,
Totally.
hang on, my life's not perfect. So why, you're making me feel bad for not having a perfect life.
Totally. I also think this is why I also share it though, because I also want to share it because people, and this is what I hear back all the time, is going, I was going to make an excuse today because A, B, C, D, but Dan, like, you've done it, and you like, I'm not going to use it as an excuse because Danni, like, you've shown me that just because shit happens doesn't mean you stop looking after you.
No.
I got back home. I'm not saying everyone should do this, but I was in the middle of marathon training when this happened. I was going to run the marathon pregnant. I was in the middle of training. I'd run all throughout Europe on our 5-week holiday. So yeah, miscarried on the Thursday. We were in Singapore. We got back to Singapore Tuesday night, and I went for a 7K run Wednesday morning. Why? Because, well, I was able to, right? But it's what makes me feel good. It makes me feel good. I love running. I had a goal in mind and nothing was going to stop me. And people were like, fuck, Dan, like so many people would have got home and just climbed into bed for another week, like without sounding rude, like wallowed. I'm not a fucking wallower. Life is too short. I was back on that road, and I'm not going to lie, that 7Ks I did that Wednesday morning felt so good. You know, like I think I cried the whole run, but like, it felt so good to do something for me, to be like in my happy place, and to be like, I am disciplined, I am strong, and I can do this. And I think that's when people go, yeah, shit, like I can't use that as an excuse. I can't use that as an
Put me to
excuse.
shame, woman. I gotta get the shit done now. Oh, it's oh,
Yeah.
I'm just visualizing that run right now. I would have bawled my eyes out the entire way.
The whole day. Well, when I crossed the finish line, I'm going to cry again, but I'm not sure you saw, but two of my friends bought me a beautiful little angel to wear on my vest on Sunday.
Stop.
Yeah. And actually, I'll tell you a couple of things that happened. It's pretty special. So I've had last week my knee got really sore. So I've had no injuries this whole training, and my knee got sore. I was like, fuck, not now. Like I'm feeling so strong for this run. My knee cannot be sore now. And it was pretty bad. I actually missed my last training run last Friday because it was that sore. So anti-inflammatories, Panadol on a Sunday morning, put my angel on my vest. I'm on this marathon at the 6K mark. My knee's like, and I thought, fuck, like, and in my head I was like, Dan, if it's this sore, you're not going to be able, like, it's sore. Anyway, I kept saying to myself, energy flows where focus goes. Energy flows where focus goes. Stop focusing on your knee. Stop focusing on your knee. Focus on your arms. Focus on the sky. Focus on your eyes. So focus. And then Angels came on from Robbie Williams in my ears.
Oh,
And at the 8K mark, that pain disappeared.
no way.
I was like, what the fuck? And I just like looked at my angel and I looked up and I was like, thank you. Thank you. And I like was running. I was like, you've got to be kidding. Like how? And again, for the whole run. And then I was like, it was just amazing. And then something else weird happened. So my running song is Simply the Best by Tina Turner. It's the I put on at the end of like when I'm a kilometre away from home,
Oh,
like just to keep me going. Right? I love to simply, and I was like, anyway,
what a track.
that's such a good track. I'm getting to like the 34K mark, and it was like someone was playing with my playlist, right? It was skipping, 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 and I was like, what is going on? Like, is my because my phone was down like my pocket here, and I was like, is my boob like pressing against the button? Anyway, it stops on Tina Turner, Simply the Best. And I was like, oh, okay. Then I round the corner and Chris and the kids are waiting at the corner. So Simply the Best is playing. I come around the corner and Chris is there. And I'm like, oh, he must have been playing with my playlist. He must have logged into our family account. He's put it on. Got to the end of the race and he's like, no, Dan. He's like, I was tracking you, I was videoing you, and I was looking after the 3 kids. I was not on fucking Spotify. I was like,
Oh my God. So what, it just randomly came on?
randomly came on, right? I was like, this is fucking crazy. But yeah, as I crossed that finish line of the marathon, have a look at some of the photos, I'm crying. Like I literally broke down. I like crossed that finish line and I was like, I can do hard things. You know, I can 16 weeks, 3 toenails, a miscarriage. I'd actually ended up crashing my car after we got back from Singapore. Chris ended up in hospital a few weeks later with pneumonia.
Oh my God.
Crossed that finish line and I was like, anything is possible if you believe it and if you want it, you know? Yeah, but I was a freaking mess at the end.
Oh, I can imagine. But see how like when you do hard things and especially after a hard moment, you get rewarded. Like, I know that sounds ridiculous, but you really do. Like things like the divinity of like something of superior power, whatever you want to call it, God, spirituality, whatever it is, it exists and you can't deny that because these things, they just like, oh, it's crazy how
Yeah, like
you can't describe it.
no, and I'm not a religious person, but there's definitely I definitely believe there's obviously something bigger than us, right? And I literally I was saying to Chris, I was like, the whole run, I was like talking to my little angel, right? I was like talking to it and I was like, he's still there, he's still there. And I kept being like, he's being like, I'm still there, but you don't need me. Like, I'm still here, but you got this, mama. Like, you know, like, I was like, and there's definitely something going on because, you know, and I'm still on a high from this, hey? Like, this is the thing, like you said, you do hard things and you get rewarded. How do you get rewarded? With that kind of stuff, but with like, I feel so good, you know? Like,
because when you do hard things and when you feel that power afterwards, you are so open. I feel you're just open. You know, when you're down in the dumps, you're not open to anything else. You're like you said, you're wallowing. You're playing whatever. You're just in the down of the dumps. But when you are firing at all levels and you're just full of all those beautiful, happy, amazing hormones, you're so susceptible to hearing, to seeing, to listening, to feeling. And it's just so powerful. And
that's when manifestation comes in, right? Because when you're at that stage, you're more likely to be more creative, do more things, like you said, open to more things. So that's when stuff comes back to you, right?
of course. And like you're using all your tools, like you said, you were talking to your angel, you're speaking to them, you're using, you had all these music on your playlist. You were digging deep in order because you knew you had to dig deep in that moment and you had to use whatever you had. And you do things that you probably wouldn't have done on a regular basis, like speak to your angel. Like that's so special. And wow, how magical.
So when you do hard things, you are then more likely to do more hard things.
Of course. It's an addiction. It's an addiction. You're like, let's do this again. It's the best. You just like.
Yeah, you want not only do like then, people always go, oh, it's okay for her because, it's easier. Because, you know what, to be honest, it's like that whole rich get richer, poor get poorer thing. Yeah, the happier get happier because the more hard things you do, the easier it is to then do something else hard because you want that feeling. You're chasing that high and you feel so proud. I don't think we say that enough as adults, like we say it to our kids all the time, right? And I was thinking about this the other day. We say to our kids all the time, I'm so proud of you. But what we should be saying is, you should be so proud of yourself.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, it's like they're doing it for someone else, right?
Yeah.
By me saying I'm so proud of you, whereas I've started saying to Harper, because again, the twins, don't freaking understand yet. But, you should be so proud of yourself, babe. Are you proud of yourself? And then I will end it with, I'm also proud of you, right? To show, because, people like to do things for mummy, right, as well. But you should be so proud of you. And in that moment on Sunday, and even now, someone said, oh, how's the run? How are you feeling? I said, I'm so proud of myself. I don't care if anyone else says they're proud of me, but I am fucking proud of myself, And I think that's the thing. When you do hard things and you complete things and whether it doesn't matter if it's a fat loss journey, a health journey, a fitness journey, every time you do a win, we need to celebrate ourselves. Like, I am proud of me. And every day I do my gratitudes and I get my coaching clients to do it. And if you watch my stories, I do it a lot, like most mornings. What is something you're grateful for? What is something you're proud of? And that proud has to be for you, not your kids, not your husband. What are you proud of? Like, because then you're like, yeah, I'm proud of that, which means I now I feel like I can do more now because I want to be proud of me again. What do I have to do to be proud of me? I think that's really important. Yeah.
Of course. It's, and like going back to what we were saying earlier, it's doing those things that we're proud of ourselves, especially when it comes down to, physical or food or whatever it is. The physical body will naturally come. You know what I mean? Like, when you don't focus on it, but you're focusing on how you feel, how your soul feels, and how happy you feel inside.
Yeah.
That shit just comes.
Totally.
It really does.
I see so many coaches. I saw another one actually this morning saying how to use the scales properly. Weigh yourself every day so you get an average. And I was like, fuck that shit. I don't get my clients to weigh. I get my clients to weigh once a month, if that. And I tell you why, because fat loss and like you said, your body is the product of doing all the other shit.
Mm-hmm.
Move your body, practice gratitude, reduce stress, drink water, eat really well. The body will come,
Exactly.
Putting on the fucking scales every day doesn't change anything.
Oh my God. That gives me bloody anxiety more than anything else. Jesus. This is counterproductive in the freaking self-development area.
But so many coaches say it, right? They say, weigh yourself and I'm like, even Chris's coach, it's like, weigh yourself every day. I'm just throwing him under the bus there. I'm like, your physical body will come if you do all the things.
If you do all the things.
Focus on the journey, focus on the process, put your energy onto the process and being disciplined, and then celebrate that along the way. Don't celebrate the number on the scale at the end of that's not the hard work. The hard work is the process. No. That's what you should be proud of.
Use your discipline for use your discipline for training as practice for when shit gets hard. Then you can use your discipline for that. You can piggyback it. It's such an important thing to be able to use these things as life tools, because ultimately that's what they are.
Totally. Yeah, absolutely. I think that you're spot on there. Like, the discipline you're going to show. Well, I said this the other day. How you do one thing is how you do all things. So if you can create discipline in the day-to-day things, then when the shit hits the fan, you got those tools.
How you do something is how you do everything. Seriously.
Yeah.
Seriously. Oh, you are amazing. You're such an inspiration. And I'm first of all, just, I'm so sorry you had to go through all that. But at the same time, you just come out such a beautiful and stronger person. And you should be so proud of yourself. Which I know you are.
So, thank you. Thank you so much. Yeah. Life is just a privilege, and with it comes deep lows and big highs, right? And so, yeah.
Take the good with the bad, because they just keep coming. They keep coming. Totally. Good times, bad times don't last forever, but neither do the good. So you got to just be grateful for them all. So, but thank you so much for joining me. It's been such a pleasure.
Thanks for chatting. I feel like I should have jumped and had a tea.
I know. We should have. I had my tea. So I just keep moving every 2 seconds and just trying to find like proper comfort. So that's okay. We get there. But where can people find you?
So I hang out on Instagram. I show up on Instagram on my stories every day. So _. ThefigureLife.com is my website. That's where you'll find all my coaching programs, all those sorts of things. YouTube as well, and Facebook, The Figure Life as well. But yeah. And then my app is coming out in 4 weeks' time, which is really exciting. So Fit by the Figure. But yeah, come hang out with me.
Amazing.
_.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. Well, congratulations on the app. That's huge. Absolutely huge. Amazing stuff. Well, thanks again, gorgeous. And thank you so much for everyone that's listening, wherever you're listening from. Have a beautiful day. Peace. And that's a wrap. Thank you so much for listening. I hope you received a few good takeaways from the episode. If anyone came to mind while listening, please share it across. Your support will certainly help promote the podcast. To follow everything that I'm doing at the moment, head to my Instagram page, Holistic Healing with Steph Marie. Thanks again for all your support, and I'll see you on the next episode for more conversations that are raw, honest, and vulnerable.